dates, but we will put out a call for applications for planning and implementation grants at the same time. And for planning grants, for implementation grants, we will then let people know who submitted winning concept proposals if they made it to the next round. And then we will have a deadline for those full applications, and then we will announce the grant awards at the same time for both of those. We have a period, so today we're here to get your public comments on the guidelines and answer your questions, but you also have until June 27th to send us your comments either by email to this email address, or if you prefer to put them in the mail. At the front page of the guidelines, when you open it, you'll see that there is an address for the Strategic Growth Council in Sacramento. You'll also see this email address in that same box. So now we are going to transition to what you came for, to tell us what you think about this and to ask us your questions. We only have one microphone, so I will ask that you ask your question loudly, and I will try to repeat them with the microphone. And I just ask that you please state your name, and if you're with an organization, share the name of the organization that you're here representing. So with that, I'll take a show of hands, and I'll start just calling on people. And I can't see your name tags, you're too far away, so make a point. So who would like to go first? So
my name is Brunette, and I'm with the HEAT, the Southwest Fresno community. My first comment is that I need for you to tell the community the truth, because there's only two. Isn't that correct? There's only two people to be asking for the funding, right? Not two groups, let's put it that way.
So I mean, we are asking for collaborative stakeholder structures, so there's not a limit of who can apply to that. Anybody that is on, again, that list of eligible application entities can form a team with other entities. So. Well, do you want to continue or with another question, or should we?
Yeah, as soon as I find out, then I'll let you have that one. Okay, now, when you talk about plans that was from the last 5 years, now how would that make any sense if you're going back 5 years for the planning to have already been done, and then you're going to tell the organizations that they need to come up with a plan? It doesn't make any sense. Because if you're going back to the specific plans and whatever other plans that they had 5 years ago, how is it making any sense that you're saying to come up with a plan? And then they have to have, you may as well say the city, to agree to whatever is going on. So is the city going to be part of this, or what?
So, good questions. So this is a statewide program, so we are designing the guidelines so that they can be adapted to the needs of different communities. So, for instance, Fresno is a very different place in the city of Los Angeles. I grew up in Fresno now, and I live in LA, and I can tell you the really different places. And so the requirements right now, for instance, yes, you have to have a public agency as part of either of your team, either as a lead applicant or a co-applicant. Now, public agency doesn't necessarily have to be the city. It can be, for instance, the transportation agency in Los Angeles, LA Metro. If there's a grant in LA that wants to partner with Metro, but not necessarily have the city on their team, that would qualify. So to be specific, there are a range of public agencies that could meet that requirement. To the question on the consistency with plans. So I want to clarify that there are community plans and specific plans. Like, for instance, we know that the Southwest specific plan is currently going through the approval process, and that residents here may have been involved. How many of you were involved in the development of that plan? Okay, I'm seeing some hands go up. We understand that in that plan there's ideas for what the community would like to have in their community. So if that plan gets approved in time for this application process, which we think it may, those ideas and those plans could be folded into the TCC plans. In other communities' plans, those community plans don't necessarily have like the specifics of specific projects. So a TCC plan, what makes it different is we're saying, give us a specific project that you're going to implement. And if you're going to put housing in, proposed housing on one corner, we're asking that you go back to the plan that applies to your community and say, does the land use allow housing there, or is it industrial? And if it's industrial, it wouldn't be a good place to put housing. It wouldn't be consistent with that plan. I will add that we've had a concern in residents of Los Angeles that there are many community plans that are not up to date and that there's difficulty in that. So if that's a concern here, we're going to, this is your chance to share that. So. And are there other folks that have questions too after Burnett, just so that if you want to come stand in a line up here, maybe that'll be easier for us to track. Sorry, but it would be much easier, so thank you. Burnett, if you can just wrap up.
So you said 5 years ago, this specific plan, which was implemented, got together by the steering committee. So you said 5 years ago. This is not a 5 years ago plan. So I want to know how you guys are going to address that. And not only that, I want you to explain what's on 21. Page 21. On page 21, you got application and scoring. On B, you say a joint work plan that includes, you said there may be no, it said no more than 2 joint partners.
Yes.
It said there may not be no more than 2 joint partners. Now, for you to say that, no, it can be more than that, I want you to show me on this paperwork where it says it can be more than 2.
So that specific page on page 21, so when you see the guidelines this time, they're separated by the requirements for implementation grants, which are different than the requirements for the planning grant. So on page 21, that states the eligibility requirement for planning grants. And those, as Julia mentioned, we are encouraging the local agencies. Those come from a pot of funding called Prop 84, and all of these states of funding from the state come with strings attached. So the string for the greenhouse gas reduction money is you have to reduce greenhouse gases. The strings with Prop 84 money is that you have to be a public agency to apply. So what we are doing is we are saying that for Prop 84 grants, okay, you have to be a public agency because that's the law. We can't change that. But we're saying that those public agencies, if you want to be competitive, you have to partner with community-based organizations. Now, Burnett is right to point out that currently this guidelines state that there is a cap for 2 organizations. And we've heard from many organizations in other places that there is a concern on that cap and that they would like that removed. And so I want to emphasize that these are draft scoping guidelines and that we are continuing to evolve and revise them, and that we're here to get your comments on ideas that you would like us to change in the next iteration. So I would encourage you, if you're out there and if you have a comment or a question, to come up and stand in line to ask or make that comment. And then we're here until 8 to have that. And we are all here and everyone is taking notes. Rachel's taking notes on the computer and has them on the board so that we can incorporate those comments. So.
Now, when you first started with this program, what I want to know is, why is it that the communities didn't know anything about it until you guys had that first meeting at the state building? So I want to know, how did all of this come about and the communities wasn't involved, they didn't know anything about it, and from what we've heard is that you have people like Swearinger and other people coming down to Sacramento asking for all of this to be done, and the community wasn't involved in it.
Thank you, Brennan. I'm gonna ask if we can, I'll answer that, but we can pause and then other people are lining up, and then after folks have talked, we want to have more comments come back again. We just want to make sure everyone has a chance to be heard, and we're here till 8. So Brennan brings up a really good point. You know, what is the history of this program, and how are we getting information to the community? So this program, again, the picture of the governor signing it, that happened here in Fresno, in downtown, in in September. It happened in 2016. And I was not working at the Strategic Growth Council. None of us were actually working there at that time. And the first version of the guidelines went out in November of 2016. And after that, there was a public comment period for people to provide written comments. I was hired as the first person on this team in December of 2016. And I came on board with the task of helping to drive the production of the next version of the guidelines, which we put out in February, and then to conduct the public meetings here in the ground. And we actually did come in December or November to do a meeting. They did come in November to do a meeting here in Fresno, and that's actually the meeting where they voted, where they talked about, presented the idea of giving half the money to the city of Fresno and a quarter of the money to LA and a quarter to a third community. So there was public testimony that was gathered at that meeting. And then in February, we came out here, we did workshops here in LA and in San Bernardino, and we are here again. We did a webinar on Monday, we did a meeting in Los Angeles on Tuesday, and we're here tonight. My business card is back there for all of you. It's also here on this next slide, so I encourage you to take down my phone number, take down my email, and if you have any questions or want to invite us to give this presentation to your community groups, please invite us and we will be happy to come. And también podemos hacer la presentación en español. Okay, so I want to not take more time here from you guys, so I'm going to give the microphone here to Ms. Venice Curry for her comment.
Hi, my name is Venice Curry. I'm with Communities for the California Education Fund. I have two questions. One has to do with the readiness, and what I see in the guidelines is that you are required that they be CEQA approved, and I'm just thinking that that's not a realistic requirement based on the fact that communities have not been invested in, so their projects would not be close to being compliant with that. So how can we manage that so that we're not eliminating projects? And the second thing is the community engagement piece. You said the communities would be informed. I'm looking for community residents to be decision makers. So how do we change that language so that communities are not just coming and sitting, but they are actually participating in deciding what's going to be a project in their community?
Okay, thank you. We heard a lot of those concerns in LA around the readiness requirements and that requiring compliance with CEQA is too hard of a bar. We're hearing that, and I think we're making a note of that to discuss about what we do about that to make it more realistic. And also on community engagement, you know, we have tried to craft the language. We think it's key for residents and key leaders in these communities to be at the table making the decisions. We are leaving it to the collaborative stakeholder structures to decide these decision-making processes, but if you want to be competitive for these funds, you will have to show that you outreach to the residents and you have a support from the community residents.
Good evening, Darrell. I have about 17 questions. No, I'm just kidding. First question deals with this relationship granting applicant partnership. Who here qualifies to be a grantee? Is that a private? Who qualifies? You have to be a public agency, or can you be a private contractor to be the lead applicant?
Currently, the guidelines don't state that it doesn't state what type of applicant needs to be the lead applicant. Currently, it states that a public agency needs to be one of the partners for the lead applicant, but it doesn't state specifically who to be the lead applicant.
So anybody here can be a lead applicant?
Right.
Trying to get this money.
So currently, the guidelines don't specifically state who can be the lead applicant. This is for needs to be one of the partners or the lead applicant. The thing that you need to keep in mind are the responsibilities of that lead applicant, because they need to have the staff capacity and the experience to be able to coordinate all those different groups. It needs to be like a group that has enough basically people on board who can help with the invoicing and the reporting. So just important to keep those responsibilities in mind when selecting a lead applicant.
So then, if I was going to submit the application, which I'm not, but if I was going to submit to be the lead applicant, then as a part of my resume, I guess you would say, I would have to demonstrate that I have experience. Okay, all right, which then, okay, well, no, it just goes right back to my first one, which deals with capacity. Okay, now, the ability of the people in the community to be able to do what needs to be done. Okay, now, this other question I have is, we're only dealing with the 5 square mile area. That's all we're working with. So from where I'm standing right now, it's 5 miles in every direction. That's 5 square miles. Is that right?
No, that would be, that's a 5.
No, I just want to be clear.
Yeah, so 5 square miles would be the total area. Like if you drew a circle or drew a square, the area would have to be 5 square miles. What you're talking about is a 5-mile radius, so that's actually a much larger area.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think of.
So the area we're working with is not very big.
Yeah, it's smaller than what you were just thinking of. The intent is for it to be a neighborhood scale. I know that there actually are some tools online. If you were to Google area calculator or map area calculator, there are some tools online that will bring up a map, and you can click with your mouse on a map to trace a neighborhood or a city block or an area you're familiar with, and it will let you know along the bottom what the square miles are of that area. So if you're not sure how big the area you're interested in actually is, there's some tools to help with that.
Okay, so then in Southwest Fresno, where the air is really bad, I mean, it's bad. Okay, so that area is not, that area will probably fit within that 5-mile radius, right? Well, I would have to go find that out.
We have to double check. I'm not as familiar with the area to know exactly how big.
Yes. You can draw a circle around any part of the city that has as long, and within that circle, the census tracts have to overlap with top 5%, which in West Fresno it will. And that circle has to be no larger than 5 square miles within it. So it can be anywhere in Fresno that meets, that has a high percentage of those top 5% census tracts.
Now, can we find out whether or not that area, that specific area qualifies as one of those?
Yes, you can go online. So we actually, that's a Callan Virus Screen 3.0 tool. So you can put in an address there, and it'll give you the Callan Virus Screen score, and it will show you. You can click on your census tract where you want, or the different census tracts, and it'll tell you the percentile that it ranks. And so for those that are top 5%, it'll say like 96 to 100% or something. I think that's right? We are also in the process right now. We've been working with our state partners who manage Callan Virus Screen, and they're working on getting a map that just has the top 5% communities to make it easier for you guys to pull that out. We're still Cal Enviro Screen, and it's in your guidelines, and I believe there's a link included there to how to access the Cal Enviro Screen maps.
And my last question deals with economic opportunity to share prosperity. So what does that mean? How does the plan define economic opportunity to share prosperity? What does that mean?
I think very simply is we're looking to hope that the projects that are created through these program plans seek to employ people within the project area, and that there are workforce training programs established to help people within those project areas access jobs and get ready to help them gain skills that can then help them gain access to high quality career pathway jobs.
Does that include contracting for minorities?
that could be included, and if you want to incorporate that in your written comments. And I think, there are a couple quotes behind you, Daryl. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Daryl. And thank you for sharing the mic with us, everyone, so everyone can hear. And your name?
Chris Fox with TFS Investments. I was actually hoping you could go back to the time frame or the timeline of upcoming events. I guess for those of us that might have a project that we are looking to maybe use for this, I saw that we still don't have final guidelines until the end of the summer. We kind of heard differently that we might need to be ready by August. It doesn't look like that. So I guess I'm just asking, when is this coming into play for people like us that might have a project? When do we need to be ready? Even an estimate. I'm not looking for January 1st. I'm just looking for maybe roughly
So, thank you all for your patience on the timeline. I know it's tough. We've been struggling with not being able to give you clear dates. We are hoping to have the final timeline out within the next couple of weeks. Our goal is to get the guidelines finalized by the end of the summer, so July, August area, probably closer to August, not July. And there is a strong pressure from the legislature to get funds out by December of this year. I can't commit to any dates. That means to award the recipient, to announce the recipient, by the end of the year. But I don't want to give you any dates, and nothing is final because, again, we don't have the APA exemption, and until we have that take effect, we can't provide a further timeline. That will be out, that timeline will come out in a couple of weeks as soon as the budget gets signed, and we will contact anybody again who signed into the sign-in sheet with your email. Please, we'll add you to the SGC TCC list, and you should get updates about the program, and we will make sure to notify folks when the exemption takes place and have a timeline. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yvonne. I'm from Communities for New California as well as a resident of Southwest Fresno. The first question I have is regarding timelines. Julia, when you were talking about the planning grants versus the implementation grants, are these grants that people can simultaneously be applying for? Are they applying for them at the same time, or is it one before the other?
Yeah, thanks for that question. We imagine that the application process will be a parallel process occurring simultaneously for both types of grants. And the thinking behind that is that we don't envision that the same groups will apply for implementation grants and planning grants. It's most likely that you would apply for one or the other based on readiness of projects, where a particular community or organization is in terms of planning or putting together leverage funding and things like that. So groups that are ready to do that will apply for the implementation grant and to fulfill all of the other requirements, and groups or cities or communities that need a little bit more time in planning will apply for a plan grant.
So the concern that I have noted would be that the planning grants could then be used as the city of Fresno's excuse or use of saying that they have actually done something for the most needy Southwest 93706 areas, so that more money can still be concentrated in the high-speed rail downtown area. So my concern is not allowing that to be, if it's going to happen at the same time, that it's not allowed to be used as, well, we've covered them, and it's barely $250,000 versus $1 million implementation grants. The second question that I have, Kim, are you gonna, she stepped out on it? Oh, you're gonna ask the Calvin question? Okay. So the second one Kim brought up was regarding the Calvin scan, changing from 2.0 to the 3.0 version. And who and why was the change made? Because as we see it, when the 2.0 was actually used, or the prior one before 3.0, it was more complete and more specific of which areas were in worse shape than others. And then you change to the 3.0, and then it gives more of a generalization, which strategically allows for, once again, the downtown area to become as much a priority as Southwest Fresno 93706.
for your comment. I think, my understanding is that 93706 is still the number one on Cal Virus 3.0. So unfortunately, I mean, that's not a, so why we made the change, and it's included in the memo. So California Environmental Protection Agency, or Cal EPA, is actually mandated by law to determine what communities are disadvantaged. And so they have made the decision, they came out earlier this year with the designation that those communities that are most disadvantaged would be those that are within the top 25% of Cal Virus Screen 3.0. So when we first came out with these guidelines, Cal Virus Screen 3.0 wasn't ready for public use. It was 2.0. And because California EPA, between the February guidelines and now, updated their designation of disadvantaged communities to 3.0, we had to update it as well. I'll also add that part of, in LA, we heard a comment that in Los Angeles, Cal Virus Screen 2.0 did not do as well of as good of a job as highlighting historic Black communities and the environmental disparities there. And so we heard the concern the other day too that we're still not getting it right, but from the same person. But so that would explain why we made the switch.
And then my last somehow included type of guideline would be, once you make it through the first review of proposals and then you become one of the major contenders on that second part, as far as community engagement, not letting it end with what they've decided to do, but to actually continue this community engagement and making the actual proposals seen to us as the public, and allowing comments of, just like we're doing right now, we're putting in with a deadline of when our comments are due for these guidelines. One of the guidelines needs to be, we are allowed to still put in our comments before it is implemented about exactly what's wrong, because we know our community, right? So we would be able to see through the BS a little bit more clearly than they can make it all pretty on paper.
Thank you for that recommendation.
My name is Gary. My question is kind of brief, but I hadn't heard the right questions being answered. Okay, my concern is the funding is coming to Fresno because of what reason? 92706, the environmental scan, right? And it shows that the population in Southwest Fresno has a higher density of bad carbonites, or whatever else you want to call it, including the environment, that's attracting you guys to bring the funding here in the first place. Am I correct?
More that Fresno has the highest per capita of the state percentage. And yes, it is of note that West Fresno does have the highest, the number one or
So with us having the highest pollutant rate in Southwest Fresno 93706, I haven't heard any talk about anyone coming there to correct the situation or to even build or satisfy the needs of the community. In the first place, I don't think anyone in the community has enough money as far as matching funds to put forth what the state is applying. So it's a catch-22 for working. And then I think by the city getting involved and then extending the line of 93706 to incorporate part of the downtown situation is even more so as the stab in the back of the people that live in 93706 who are suffering because of the bad air quality in the environment. So basically what I'm looking at and what I'm hearing is there's a deficit in the language, but there's also room for gentrification. It's not being said, but I've seen gentrification happen in the Bay Area over 30 years ago when I was there, and I can see it happening here. It's coming. And the language that's being put forth doesn't allow for gentrification to happen, because we have a contractor coming in that's got matching funds who's going to apply for an application and possibly a grant, right? And they can match the funds. And no one else in that community can match it. Then naturally, for the people that can't afford the application, they're going to get overlooked. So for those who are applying for the application and have the funds to match it, are going to get first priority. And I think within your language, that priority that these people are going to be given doesn't make them necessarily have to use their ability or their tools or the funding to build or to correct the actions of 92706. Is that correct?
That, I think that is your, I'm going to take that as your comment as to what your analysis of our guidelines, the failure. I would just go back to say that again, we understand the concern of West Fresno, especially given we say from the bottom of our heart, we understand it. We are developing a program that is going to be applied throughout the state. In Appendix B, you'll see there's a list of all other cities throughout the state, many in the Central Valley, many in Southern California that also fall within the top 5%. And these communities are all different, and we have to devise a program and guidelines that can be applied across the board to other communities. That's also why we have left the program framework to be up for those communities to have enough structure as to what we want as a state. And we're asking the applicants to be competitive, to go through the thorough steps of thorough community engagement, and to prevent gentrification, potential gentrification, to look at how they are going to put in measures to avoid the displacement of existing residents and small businesses. And what we are trying to do is provide enough policy and guidance as to say is what the minimums are that people have to do to be competitive. And one of those is that if you want to compete, you have to show that in your development of your proposal, you've gone to the community that you're proposing to help, and that you have asked people, what do you need? And that those needs are then reflected in the projects that you have proposed. And so when we develop in the next version, we'll have a more fully fleshed out scoring criteria, but that will talk about how we are going to analyze that. And so we are drafting guidelines so that they can be adaptable, but we are setting the bar, the minimum requirements that you have to set. So we are trying in our best to prevent many of the issues and address many of the issues that you're concerning, that you're concerned about and address in your comments.
Just one last comment on that level. I guess basically within your requirements and within your people for your legislation, is it possible for you to have a guideline stating that in order for you to receive these funds, you must implement your programs in this district, in this area, in this 93706 zone?
I appreciate that, and we have, by focusing on the top 5% communities, I think we've narrowed the scope, and that's the best that we can do. And I will let you know that there are many communities that are upset with us because they feel that they have been left out of the top 5%. So in Los Angeles on Tuesday, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the city of Maywood, but it's a small city, predominantly Latino, many industrial uses, high pollution. They are not on the list in Appendix B because they are within the top 10%. City of Richmond in the Bay Area, historic black community, Chevron Refinery, one of the most toxic places. They do not rank within the top 5%. So, we can't make everybody happy. We're not going to make everybody happy. But by focusing on the top 5%, there are people that are upset that Fresno is getting as much money as Fresno is getting, and they want that. So we appreciate the concerns, and we're trying our best within our ability. Thank you for your comments.
Kimberly McCoy from Communities for California Education Fund, also resident of South Fresno. I was born and raised in West Fresno. As you look around now, it's totally different. And I just have one comment. 93706 has the top census tract for being the most disadvantaged, disinvested community in California. So there is no reason why you guys should be asking us to have a $70 million matching funds, because if residents in Southwest Fresno has $70 million, we would have been invested in our own community. We wouldn't even be here today. So I believe that the money should go into the 93706 zip code. It's funny how when there's money to be awarded to West Fresno, how all of a sudden downtown area becomes included in the 93706 zip code. But when money is being awarded to the downtown area, the 93706 zip code is not included in there. So there should be some type of guideline to have it to where West Fresno will receive the money and downtown doesn't have to play. Downtown is always getting money when it's time for the 93706 zip code. Another thing, I do not want my 5-year-old son to have the same fight that I'm having today. So we need to do something about it, and we need to invest in West Fresno. That's all the residents are asking. It seems like that we're begging for you guys to improve our community and invest in our community, and it's really a shame. Thank you.
¿Hay alguien más que quiera hacer comentarios? Is there anyone else that wants to make a comment to line up here?
My name is Eric Payne. I'm a resident in West Fresno. I want to thank you, Danielle, for outlining this proposal to us and for the other SGC members that are present today. Thank you for being here. I wanted to go over one of the strategies, strategy number 9 in the appendix E, where it discusses eligible project types and indicators by strategy. Under strategy 9, you don't list any indicators. Okay.
She's the one that can answer this.
Okay. Under strategy 9, you don't list any indicators, and so I wanted to offer some possible solutions to addressing that issue. If you could include a mutual indemnification clause for those partners that are participating, as well as the number of students served, and also if it would be inclusive of those that are impacted by those census tracts outlined by Enviro Spring. And then finally, if those workforce development training programs would either align with high-speed rail or green industry jobs.
Thank you for that comment. The reason we do not have indicators listed there is and I want to make sure that doesn't mean we aren't going to be looking at that and tracking that. The indicators that are in that table are only, the ones that are listed are only the ones that are required by the California Air Resources Board to be reported for greenhouse gas emission reduction programs. And because the strategies that you're referring to don't directly reduce greenhouse gas emissions, the Air Resources Board doesn't have any indicators. So we were limited in listing the indicators based on what's currently required. However, for all of the different strategies that will be a part of the project and the project area, we are, and our agency is hiring a third-party program evaluator, and we will be looking at what are all of the project types, what do we want to track and measure, and we will actually be working to develop the metrics that will be used to evaluate how is workforce being addressed, is what are the jobs that are being created, what are the training opportunities. And so I completely appreciate the suggestions that you gave, and we'll add those too, but I don't want you to think that we aren't looking at measuring the benefits of those programs. We will be doing that. So it definitely, we'll take that comment down, and if you want to submit written comments to it, we'll make sure we include those. But thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Tama Jossie, or TJ.
It's not that you need to have the full $70 million available. It means that you need to be able to pay all your expenses for that quarter before submitting a request to the state for money. So whatever you're spending in that 3 months, that needs to be able to be paid for by the lead applicant, by the partners, and then once you spend the money, then you bring your receipt and you ask the state for reimbursement. So we're going to be paying you as you go, but in those little chunks, you have to have the money ready before you ask for reimbursement. It depends. I'm not familiar with like how much would be spent. Well, some of the language we're also developing right now, which I don't have any details on, which we're still working it out with other agencies, is there may be an option for a loan and loan repayment version of using the fund. So it wouldn't be paying up front. It'd be a loan that would be repaid years afterwards. We don't have any more details on how that works yet.
But there'll be interest tacked onto that for citizens. Okay. Next question. Thank you. Okay. So other than the city of Fresno, who has already basically pledged allegiance to our former mayor's organization to get this funding, what other public agency can be a co-applicant or lead applicant for other organizations?
Again, like I said, like a transportation agency, a council of governments, help me out, the housing authority, the COG, basically, the Metropolitan Planning Organization. The school district, yes, the school district can be is a public agency. Yeah, there's not a water district here, but yeah. But so that.
And then almost done. So, in Appendix C, it says that the high-speed rail is listed as a project type. So if the awarded organization or foundation chose, they could spend that funding on constructing the high-speed rail, not necessarily projects outside of that.
That's a technicality that yes, the high-speed rail is part of the program, but we do not have, this, as Randall, our executive director, once said, using this grant, we can fund a pillar of high-speed rail. So it's unlikely that high-speed rail will be a project type allowed here.
It's listed, but...
Yes, it's listed, but
Okay.
not.
Okay, so, and this is my final question. The applicant is supposed to reach out to the community and identify their needs and through the public participation process. Is there anything set up, any strategies, any enforcement groups that you have that will enforce that they will implement those projects and execute those projects that the community identifies? So if they have a public participation process that says we don't want the high-speed rail, we don't want it spent downtown, and they elect to do that anyway, what strategies do you all have in place to ensure that they'll actually move in the way of the community instead of their own?
You saved the hardest question for last. I thought of one more public agency, the community college districts could also be a public agency, but not to avoid your question. So you raise a really good point. I mean, I think we as the state in this are trying our best to set up the rules for the program that applicants will have to abide by. And through our scoring process of those applications, we will be looking to see how the applicants do in meeting those requirements and the degree with which they meet the community engagement. And we have set the bar pretty high for what we're asking for community engagement. It's going to be a lot of work. We will have to do our best. You know, like we are conducting site visits for the very reason to do our due diligence to make sure that what is on paper to us isn't very different than on what's happening on the ground. We're going to come to the ground and see what's actually there. You know, and we can do our best in that scoring process, but again, the guidelines will be what we will use to measure that and their progress. We will be detailing the scoring review, the scoring criteria, in the next version of the guidelines that'll provide you more of an idea. So during the proposal vetting process, that's how we will try to do that, and we will have to do our best. Once the awards are granted and a recipient has been awarded the money, the state will continue through this partnership to be involved in the implementation, and there will be an expectation that the community engagement will continue through the implementation of the program, and that, you know, through those, the purpose of these progress reports is to ensure that the applicant or the grant recipient at that point is continuing to follow the plan they said they would, and that means continuing to engage the community. So we have not yet spelled out exact measures for how the state will hold those folks accountable through that, but we probably will likely do that either in the next guidelines, or that will definitely be something that will be part of the contract development phase with the grantee and the state. Are there any other comments or questions, or over here?
My name is Lucio Avila, I'm Centro La Familia, and I know this question was asked, but I didn't get the answer. Who decides the projects? Like, is it the grantee? Do they pick the projects after they do their community engagement, or is it the grantee and their partners, or is it the actual community voting on it? That's something I've heard from the residents.
That's a great question, and thank you. And I know this is a complicated process. So what we envision is that the team of people, the collaborative stakeholder structure, will develop a process for how they are going to engage community residents. And part of that engagement is to develop the plan. And so for each stakeholder structure, it's likely to happen very differently. And we're leaving that up to the stakeholder structures to define. We're not telling you how to do it, we're telling you this is what we want you to do. We want you to do it in the way that is best working for you. So I can give the example in the city of Los Angeles. We already know that there are groups that have come together to form partnerships, and they're each doing their own process to identify the projects that they're going to work on. And so each stakeholder structure will be different and should use their own process that they feel will best accomplish that.
I just wanted to speak to, I guess, one of the responses to one of the questions around the public institutions serving as a co-applicant. I just want to speak to, just to challenge you to think differently in terms of the impacts, the fiscal impacts of those jurisdictions outside of local municipalities that have the capacity to do that. And when I say that, I mean when you look at a school district or a housing authority, oftentimes, $35 million is a significant portion of their operating budget, and many of those funds are categorically funded, so they're restricted funds. And so for, I think, the state to make the ask of a public agency to carry the ongoing cost up front could be really challenging and potentially bankrupt some of those agencies.
Okay. That's right.
So I do want to note that it's 8 o'clock and on the agenda we're set to end at 8. I think if there are any more, I see one more person here. If there's anyone else that wants to make a comment, please come up. And if not, then we will give the last word to Keza McCoy. And unless there's anyone, if there's someone else, please come up. And if not, we will close after Keza.
All right, well, you already said my name, so I'm Keza.
Oh, I stated it. Oh, I thought you said I sounded.
No, I just want to get some understanding on page 8, number 6, where it says the high-speed rail connectivity. And so it says that applicants from cities within the high-speed rail initial operating segment must, so it uses the word must, and so it lists 4 different things. And so I'm wanting to know for the city of Fresno, because we are the beginning of the high-speed rail. Are those 4 things listed on page 9, and that's something that the applicants must do?
Yes. For the city of Fresno, that should be.
Okay, so with that, therefore, I know we have 2 plans already adopted, the downtown neighborhood Pacific plan, and then we have the Fulton corridor plan that's already been adopted. And I know that the foundation, the Central Valley Foundation that Ashley Swarnger created, to me that automatically gives them the qualifications to apply.
And would you like to state that as a recommendation
Well,
for how? Right.
Because, I mean,
So-
for Fresno, this qualifies Fresno in regards to.
So any applicant from the city of Fresno would have to meet with those requirements. What I was going to say is that if there's a recommendation for how you want us to change that language to address your concerns about setting an equal path, that please send us the recommendations for how you would like us to modify that. And I'm going to take your comment to be that maybe requiring consistency with specific plans is unfairly prioritizing other areas of the community. So is that correct to make your recommendation that?
Yes.
Your comment that, thank you. And, okay, so final question here.
Julie Delinashi, Board Chair of the African American Historical Cultural Museum in the San Joaquin Valley. And some of the comments that I am concerned about, being that this has been happening since November 2016, is that the players, some of them are not in this room when you're talking about organization and community leaders. This will be maybe my, first meeting that I've been to, found out the other one online. And here we are, we're right in the community, one-of-a-kind pictorial exhibit museum in the Central Valley, and we had no knowledge. And frankly, it would be too late for us to try to partner up with a public agency when we're talking about that public agency has to be the one funding the process, is what I'm hearing, and that's what I'm taking also from Mr. Payne's comment. So I'm concerned that all the possible community leaders are not represented and that the audience that you presented to tonight as an example, the information does not match, the content and the information does not match all of the folks that should have been in the room tonight. And also, I do feel that there needs to be a better process, public information, to be able to let people know about the meetings and to be able to let organizations and community leaders to know about the process and the funding. And we're very well aware of the application and process as an entity, but there's other entities that can also be influential to help with 93706 area code, different community leaders, different churches that could have combined together to be able to have a real strategic plan to be effective in being able to help the community. And so I feel like this was more of a formality, and I hope that's addressed. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, and I think that's a good comment to end on because it provides me the opportunity to say thank you all for coming. We really appreciate your input, and we know that not everybody in the room maybe is here, and that we may not have been able to reach everybody that should have been. So that's why I'm asking you for your help in letting us know who else should have been in the room. And I'm also asking you to invite me back. Fresno is my home, and I am more than willing to come back and to give this presentation or a more condensed version to any groups. I want to correct your statement that it's too late. We are not even, these are not even the final program guidelines. We are still developing the program. So you still have time. The time is now, and I'm glad you were here tonight. And I apologize that we didn't reach out to you before. We are trying our best to get the word out. We, in February, sent out had a lot of people come out, and we sent the notice of today's meeting to everybody who signed in at that meeting, to key stakeholders. We will add you to that list. Do not leave without getting my business card. Make sure then that everybody is here signed in, and if you don't have an email, that you put your address so we can contact you by mail. With that, if there's no other comments, I know it's past 8 o'clock. I want to, from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of my team in the state, thank you all for coming on one of the hottest days of the year so far, and for sharing your concerns and your ideas and your thoughts on how we can improve this program to make it meet all of its goals.